Good afternoon, everyone. A very good afternoon. I hope the screen is visible to all in one and all present here. And good afternoon, good evening, good morning, since people join us from different parts of the world. So for me, it's good evening. I've joined you from Melbourne. So myself, Dr. Renu Mishra, I welcome you on behalf of Research Graduate for another series of webinar wherein we will be covering data collection, data analysis, and data interpretation. Just pardon me for my bad throat today. So I hope everybody is doing fine, especially in India with the changing weather. People are enjoying the weather, hopefully so. So today we will be covering the topics that is primarily revolving around the concept of data, around which we'll be moving ahead. Since the webinar is organized by the research graduate, so we as research graduate, primarily we are, as you majorly of you have been associated with us from a long period of time. So let me tell you, for those who have been associated with us, they must be knowing around about us. But those who are new with us, let us discuss something about research graduate. Research graduate is a one-stop solution um, uh, about your research queries, be it your topic selection, be it your proposal writing, related to anything. You have concerns, you have roadblocks when it comes to proofreading, editing. You have something related to entire, sometimes what happens is entire thesis is done, but those final touch ups you're lacking into anything which you are concerning with. Research graduate is something you can have your trust upon. So when it comes to contacting research graduate, you can browse us on researchgraduate.com. You can get in touch with us on the given number on your screen, and you can email us on the given email ID. All right. Okay. So coming to this webinar structure, as generally these kind of webinars, we schedule it for around 90 minutes or so. So 90 minutes or so is like, we don't generally follow it by like every minute or so. We can stretch beyond 90 minutes also. So please be relaxed, have a cup of coffee in this warm afternoon for all of you. Generally the timings is around 90 minutes or so, followed by 30 minutes question and answer. So be rest assured, even if you have any further questions, after 30 minutes, I'll not be ending the question and answer session. Each and every questions will be taken care of. Okay, when it comes to your PPTs, the recordings, and the certificates, all of them will be sent on your registered email ID with which you have registered with. So make sure you have registered with the email ID with which you generally communicates with, or the professional email ID, so that you can get hold of the PPTs and the certificates and the recordings. All right. One concern which I would like to, tell you in advance before we get on to the journey of this webinar. That is that please increase your video quality on YouTube to 720p so that all of you can have a better quality and better experience of this webinar. Also, especially all those who have joined us with their phones, they might can experience a glitch in certain times, because phones screens, they don't give you much better clarity as what do you call as, just a second, yeah, as what is called as when you join it from your screen, which is either a laptop or a desktop. So just be remindful of that. All right. Okay, so now it's time to have the showcase on. Now, since we talk about the topic is today's session, today's webinar is data collection, data conversion, and interpretation. The word which is common in all these, data collection and data conversion. Before I move on to them, which is a very common terms to all of us, the researchers fraternity, because I'm sure many of us are academicians, many of you are researchers, many of you are budding researchers. This data terms is quite common, to all of us. So, what exactly this data is? Generally, when we heard of the term data, the image which comes into our mind is of numbers, something related to the person like me. When I started my research journey a decade back or more than that, I was really afraid of this term data because I was never good with numbers when I was a child. So whenever I used to heard this number data, term data, there used to be an image called, all these numbers used to flash in front of me, and I used to have this bad thing that, what will happen and how I'm going to deal with it, and what this data is all about. Until I actually had a better understanding what exactly this data is. See, whenever, especially I'm telling you in terms of research, and gradually I explored that this understanding is not only for research but for every context. Data is that information which we are going to use for whatsoever purpose we have collected that information. Like, for instance, the marketer. Any marketer who has collected the information on consumers. For example, I'm a marketer. I want to launch my new product on fashion, and I needed some information. Mind me, yeah, I needed some data slash information on females, and for that I collected some data. I will call that information as data. That, what is the age of the females who will be preferring my product, what is their income, and what is the region which they are like, living into, and so and so. So data is not just restrictive, or data is not just limited to numbers primarily. So this explanation I'm giving primarily to, or especially for those ones who are sailing in the same boat as I was sailing 10, 15 years back, right? So need not to be afraid of something term which is data. Okay, data is any information which is related to your information, or which you require in order to complete your research, or in order to conduct your research. Okay, that can be through various ways. Somebody does it through interviews, somebody does it through, that's what you can see on screen, questionnaire. Somebody does it through surveys, somebody does it through other Google surveys, and somebody does it through close ended questionnaires, open ended questionnaires. So there are various ways to collect that so called data or information. Understood? Okay. I'm just taking the major thing now. You collected that information, that is data. So in research term, we understand that information as data. So from now on, just don't be afraid with the term data. And there are various ways to collect that information. One such way is questionnaire. Now, questionnaire basically is that way wherein you have a list of questions with you with which you ask certain questions from your respondents, which is also called as, mark my, if you have, please carry notepads with you. The respondents, which is also carry in many research, if your population is large enough, um, you choose sample out of it. So respondents also called as sample in that case. If you are presenting those questions in front of your sample slash respondents, those list of questions. So a list of questions which you use to gather the information. Now I'm sure you understood what I'm hinting about when I say information. I'm hinting about data. Okay. So I'm hinting about that data. I'm hinting about that information which I needed for my research, which I will gather through those questionnaire, those questions I will collect from my respondents. Okay? Okay. So, this kind of information can be used for quantitative and qualitative information. Like it can be a detailed information and it can be a one word or probably two word option wise information as well. I'm telling you in very easy language. Okay. So, when you talk about questionnaires, they are generally of two types. Okay. See, all many of you must be thinking that probably this is going a little slow because those who know it. But please understand, especially for those who doesn't understand. For them, it's very important for them to understand. Okay. Coming back to what we are, questionnaires are of like close-ended and open-ended. I think the name itself says. Now, when you talk about close-ended questions, close-ended questions means you have a set of questions for every respondent, right? For every respondent, you have set of questions, and with these questions, you have those options. Like for example, we'll take the previous example only, like fashion brand. So which fashion brand category, makeup category you use? Bobbi Brown, Chanel, MAC, and Dior. So these are the four options. So these four options will remain same. Let's say I have a sample size of 59. When I say sample size, please don't get confused. That sample size means I'm choosing 59 people. Those 59 people I will collect my information from. Okay, I'll just try to make it very simple for all of you. So sample size means the number of people I will choose, those who will answer my questionnaire, or from those who, from all of those who, from whom I will collect my information. Okay, so in close ended, the options remain same for all of them. However, in open ended questions, I will give them an option to express themselves. If you used your, then why? So I am giving them an option to choose, to express. Okay, that's why it is open questions. They have open questions where you are giving an opportunity to the respondents to express their opinions to us. Okay, okay. Now, coming to what is a questionnaire design. Now, questionnaire design basically is that process of designing wherein the format of question in the survey instrument. Okay, so they are used to collect the data about a particular phenomena. Okay, So when you design a questionnaire, there are various stages are there, like designing and implementation. All this will be considered. Okay, that how will you design the questionnaire? What will be the structure of the questionnaire? Whether you want to go for open ended or close ended. Okay, a survey is also same method of research which is used to collect the data from a group of people. All right. Okay. Before I move ahead, if anybody of you have a question in between the webinar, I just request that kindly make a note of it, the question. We will take every question by the end of the webinar, and once we are done, please, I'll be taking all your questions. Okay. So in between questions, they may lost during the chats. So just make a note of it on your notepads, and we'll take all after the session. Okay. Okay. Now, how your questionnaire, a good questionnaire should look like. Firstly, always remember the questionnaire does not come out of nowhere. Firstly, you know what, I have seen many students. In fact, currently also I'm guiding a couple of students from masters. So the main struggle is that of designing a questionnaire, how to come up with a questionnaire. So when you talk about a questionnaire, right, there are two things. Firstly, you can design a questionnaire for your study. Okay. Firstly, also you can adapt a questionnaire for your study. So when I say you can adapt a questionnaire for a study, that means some previous author has used their questionnaire in their study, and you are using their questionnaire in your study as it is. That is adapting a questionnaire. In that case, in that case, you will not change the questionnaire which you have adapted from the previous study at all. That's one thing. Okay. Now, how will you get to know that which questionnaire I can choose? The study should be similar. You should, go ahead. You should find the study which is similar like yours. Similar like yours does not mean that, let's say, for example, somebody is talking about consumer behavior analysis in Italy. I know understanding the factors influencing consumer behavior analysis in Italy, and you want to understand the same in India. Okay, but the environment in Italy, the environment in India, they are drastically different, right? Market environment, I'm saying. I'm not saying that, we have summer, winters, and they have different. No, market environment. Okay, so let's say similar country as same market environment like Italy. You choose to work on that country. If you find that, then in that case you can adapt that study, or probably you have same variables like the that study which you found out, then you can adapt the questionnaire. Okay, then you can adapt the questionnaire that on the basis of the variables found. Like if you say that authors have the same variables like mine, and their study is also aiming the same questions, same objectives like mine, I can adapt the questionnaire. You can go for it. So this is the scenario where you are adapting the questionnaire. Now coming back to, if you design the questionnaire, when you design the questionnaire, your questionnaire should have the following elements. You should be very well aware of your goals, objective, and research questions. Needless to say, again and again, that by the stage when you are at designing the questionnaire, you are well versed that what are your research questions, your research objectives, and research goals. Okay, your key concepts of research, and what are the definitions of the key concepts. Why? Because with these definition you will be coming up with the variables. Your hypothesis should be with you, because the hypothesis will be telling you the associations of the variables. See, the things which I'm telling you in extra, kindly make a note of them. Any which ways you'll be getting the recordings, but still. So these hypotheses which you generate, will be telling you the association between the variables, whether there is an association or not. Okay, which is also written there. Whatever is your choice of data collection, survey mode, telephonic, face to face. Okay, how are you going to administer that questionnaire? Online, you're going to in person. Okay, how are you going to summarize the data, conclude the data, and so on? So all these things, all these elements should be with you. All right. All right. Okay, now comes, when we talk about questionnaire, what exactly we have the purpose behind it. Now, the main purpose is, firstly, we want the data. Now, every one of you understand when I'm saying data, I know what I'm talking about. I want the information for them. Okay. So, be it qualitative, like I want them to express their heart out to me, be it quantitative, okay, I'm giving them a pre-decided options. They can just choose out of them. Okay. No matter what is this, but I want the information from them. Then it is also a very cheap way, cheap as an inexpensive way. You do not require much money. You can just email the questionnaire, and you can email questionnaire to large number of people, and you can just get huge amount of data. Okay. Also, questionnaire, you need to have a very important factor in mind, that questionnaire isn't the process of analyzing the responses. It is just the process of collecting the survey, or process of survey, process of collecting the information. This I have just noted down in highlighting points. Why? Because many students, they think that this is the way you analyze the responses. Here responses means data slash information, all these things are same. So here questionnaire is not the way of analyzing the information. With questionnaire, you just collect the information. Okay, what you do is you just collect the information. Analysis of the information happens later. Okay, all right, going on further. Now, coming to specifically for the clinical research, because we have students from multiple domains attending the webinars, and this will be useful for the other domain students as well, researchers. When you are designing a questionnaire, okay, when you're designing a questionnaire only, mind my words, whenever you are designing a questionnaire, not when you are adapting the questionnaire. I'll tell you why. Coming back to first, when you are designing the questionnaire. When you are designing the questionnaire, you need to test the validity, whether it is valid, whether it is reliable. Validity means whatever concept we want to measure with this questionnaire, whether the questionnaires are valid enough to measure them, you'll test that. Second, whether this questionnaire will produce same results even after some time used for the same purpose. Is it reliable or not? Okay. Unbiased. It will measure the quantity or the concept in a way that does not systematically under or overestimate the value. That means it will not be biased. It will not go beyond a certain value or remain an undervalue. Discriminating. Obviously, this is self explanatory that this will not discriminate between the respondents. Now, these quality checks will be done only in the case when you are designing the questionnaire, not in the case when you are adapting the questionnaire. Because in the case when you are adapting the questionnaire, the author whose questionnaire you have adapted must have done all this. So these quality checks needs to be done only in the case when the questionnaire is being designed. Okay? All right. Okay. Now we'll talk particularly questionnaire and clinical research. Okay. So basically, when you talk about clinical researches, clinical research, in particularly in clinical researches, majority of the data is collected through questionnaires or interviews. Okay. Also, the validity. Now you understand what is validity. That whatever concept we are supposed to understand, or whatever concept we wish to get the information on, the questions are designed in such a way only. The validity of the results depends upon the question. Like the questions are such that they will get the same results, same information. Okay. And clearly it should get the research intention. Because see, in clinical research there are times when you are taking some clinical information also from the researchers, from the respondents. My bad, I said researchers, respondents. So the questions should clearly aim towards the research intention of the researcher. Research questions should be logically arranged. A flow should be there. And this flow should not only be in clinical research, but in every type of questionnaire. Like if you are sending a question to any respondent, in my personal opinion, which I suggest to my students also, your questionnaire should appear to me, to me like a story. I should get interest in attempting it. I should not get bored out of it. I hope you're getting my point, right? Because if I am not getting interest in it, I might give you incomplete information, false information that will not hamper, that will not create anything wrong to the respondent, but to you as a researcher, it will create your results, or it will bias your results because you don't have proper information from the respondents. Okay, so you can now understand how important it is to have the questions properly designed, properly arranged, and properly structured in a questionnaire. Okay? Okay. Now, when I say design, structured, arranged, and so on, the question comes how to do that, right? Now, firstly, in that, your research aim and goal should be very clear. Right? What information you want from the. See, I want to understand, for example, I want to understand that why people buy property, why people buy real estate. Okay, so what is their intention behind buying it? what is the use they like, what are the different uses they do it, like different intentions they buy it, right? So my aim is very clear. So my questions will be such which gives me information on such that what is the intention of people buying real estate region you may choose. Okay, so then comes what kind of information you want to gather. I want to gather like what is their nationality, what like which nationality maximum invest in real estate, which income bracket they belongs to, which gender maximally. Nowadays even there is no biasness in female or males, they both are equally investing in property. So this kind of information I want to. Then your main objective. So I want to understand that which nationality is majorly inclined towards buying real estate for their personal use. Okay. And then I'll be focusing on other factors coming out of that information, that whether it is female or male or which income bracket they have and so on. Okay. Ideally, there are already existing questionnaires that have been validated by published research that you can use, which we have already discussed, adapting the questionnaire. That's why I already told that you may also adapt the questionnaire. So there is no, it's not like copying. No, it's not like, it's like adapting the questionnaire, but you have to use it as it is. Definitely giving the credits or citations of it. All right. Then if you wants to however reusing the question is difficult for commercial application. Commercial as in for the apart from research, academic application. Okay. Okay. Then if you are designing for yourself, that was if you are adapting one. So when your goal, what kind of information you want, that is all with you. You need to have your variables with you, your detailed list of variables, your all the basically variables are those factors. Let me tell you in very easy language, these are those factors around which whole of your research surrounds, be it independent or be it dependent. Whole of your research surrounds. Okay, so it can be dependent, as I told you, it can be independent. So you should have your variables with you. Like for example, the attitude, you want to describe the needs. Like I told, no, what is their need, why they want to, like what is the intention for them to buy. I want to understand the need of them, the behavior, demographic, like I wanted to understand the gender, income bracket. So have a clear list of variables. These variables will then be converted into questions. Okay, translate these concepts into variables that can be measured. So simple language, measurement will happen only when you have the questions with you. Okay, so first is have the clear list of your variables with you. Okay, current literature review. That's the sad part is that this is one of the most important step in research, but um, uh, um, majorly ignored. Yeah, because these days literature review is being understood as we'll just google it our topic and we'll find a couple of papers out of it and literature review is done. No, it is not. It is absolutely not. Okay, if you do or if you want to do a good literature review, then just go for current literature, having the related kind of surveys, having related kind of data collection questions, see some related study that that we were discussing, adapting the questionnaire similar like your studies, their study aims, you know, understand understand that whether you are using the complete questionnaire of them, or if their questionnaire have certain subsets, you're adopting a subset of it, or you are taking some you're understanding the studies out of them. So basically, review the current literature is cutting the long short stories short, is that you have to do it thoroughly. That's it. Just don't, there is no shortcut to do the literature review thoroughly. Okay. Okay. Then define your target respondents. Now, when I say target respondents means who are those people who will actually will answer your questions. Who are those ones to whom you will go and will approach with your questionnaire? Okay. So you will have to be very clear in identifying your target audience. This is a very key factor. Like, I let's say I want to understand, like I said, I want to understand that why people are investing in real estate. I want to understand on the basis of their nationality and the age and all that stuff. So I'm very clear. I will not go to a college going crowd. They are not my ideal or target respondents, because they are not the one. Irrespective, in a college you have multicultural students coming from different nationalities, but they are not the one who are investing in real estate, right? Their fathers are, so I have to understand. Their mothers are, so I have to understand very clearly that who are the ones who will actually respond, or who are the ideal respondents to my study or questionnaire. So in that you have longitudinal design, that is whether you want to run multiple questionnaire session over a long period time to a single group. Means you have, let's say, 10 people. You are giving them same questionnaire again and again. Okay? Again and again. Let's say for 6 months you are giving them same questionnaire, like with a short interval of time, with a short break in time. This is longitudinal, long. eh, you know Remember, like this, longitudinal, long period of time, same people. Cross sectional design means cross sectional study. You come across with this term often. Longitudinal design, longitudinal study, where if you want to present your questionnaire once to two or more groups, that means just once you are collecting the information from the respondents, you're not approaching them again. Okay. While the former, the longitudinal ones, it will basically allows you, it will tell you that, for example, i am I'm giving the questionnaire to the group of people today, and I'm approaching them tomorrow again, like after 3 months again. They might have changed their mind. They want to invest it again now. Okay. Right. So longitudinal design will tell me how the group changes over the time. Okay. However, the cross sectional study, the cross sectional design tells me that what is the difference between different people. Like, for example, I have given one questionnaire to female group and one to male group. So I want to understand their investment perspectives. Okay. That ways. All right. Now, next step is to develop the questions. Now, here, as I told you, that your questionnaire in general should be like a story. Now, it should be like, you are engaging your respondents in something which is which bounds them to answer. You know, so you should phrase them that the question should be very clear. There should not be any ambiguity. There should not be any misunderstanding. So, very clear questions, no misunderstanding. Okay, no misunderstanding. Uh, Whatever you wants to make them answer for you, just state that in the question. Okay, then it's often difficult to analyze the data from a questionnaire where people have mixed things up. Like, question is saying something else, answer is saying something else, the answers to choose up. So clearly have a look on what my question is saying, what my answer is depicting. Okay. Also, don't just go over the competencies of your target group. Like, say, for example, my target group is college. I'm collecting information from a college group of students. So I need to understand, I need to take care in the mind that their understanding would be at that level, and I can't complicate my questions. So no technical language, because see, difficult language, technical language, it may sounds fancy, but if our respondents are not able to understand, right? If they are not able to understand, what is the point of having them? Okay, so try to make the questions easy. Then choose your question type. So choose your question types means, so there are wide variety to there by which you can explore, phrase the questions. Like, in exploratory questions, you probably will find that open questions where the participants, respondents, sample respondents can actually they fill the answers. However, when you talk about the quantitative questions, they'll have to go through the previously provided options. Okay, multiple options, rating scales they are being given. How do you rate or how do you scale? Or four or to five options are given. Out of them, they have to choose. Like them, out of that, they have to choose. So which one will you go for? Which one is your study, is demanding for? You'll have to go for that. Okay. All right. Then design question sequence and overall layout, like which question will be followed by which questions. See, this is very important. Why? Because when the respondents are actually in a process of answering the questions, so each question is linked to the previous one. Sometimes the answer to the previous one is giving rise to the next question. So you need to be very clear that which questions will be placed after which questions. If there are questions which have skipped to the next questions, where they will be placed or something like that. So you need to be very careful in that approach, that how you're actually going to place, and this needs your careful mm, attention, that where you are going to actually um, place each question. Okay. Okay, then basically when you talk about, let me just a second, let me just fix it for you guys, just give me a minute. Yeah, it's done. Yeah. Okay. So then is the stage to run a pilot. Now, pilot is important because pilot testing is important because with this you get to know that whether before handling over this questionnaire to a large public as in the sample, the respondents, you should run a pilot testing that whether this questionnaire is suitable enough for my study or not. Okay, so you may go for, it is the questionnaire understanding, the questions are readable enough, the questions make sense, the options make sense. Are the respondents, those who are being chosen for the pilot testing, are the respondents are able to make sense of the options or not? So this kind of pilot testing actually ensures that before you actually go for data collection, so you can avoid that if all those glitches happen in long run, your time can actually saves, right? Okay. All right. So here are the examples of your structured, unstructured, like open-ended, close-ended, and mixed one, quasi-structured. Like in this kind of questionnaire, you have both open-ended and close-ended. Okay. All right. Now, data collection, as I told you in advance, it's that way of collecting the information. That's why I already told you in advance that what exactly does it means by data collection. Okay, so when we are researching about particular topic or a particular title, so when we have certain hypotheses, we need to prove that these hypotheses are right or wrong. We need to test these hypotheses, or not right or wrong, we need to test these hypotheses. That we can do only with the help of collected data. Okay, different fields, different domain, like in science the way of collecting data is different, humanities, social sciences is different. So different field, different ways of collecting the data. Now I hope you understand. Data, I means information. Okay. All right. So there are couple of methods to collect the data. So when you want to conduct qualitative data collection, you have observation methods wherein you are observing your respondents. I hope every one of you now understand what is observe respondents, where you are observing the respondents behavior and you are making the note of it. Okay, interviews you all know. Okay, asking the questions and making a note of it. Surveys we discussed, and group discussion is just floating a topic and people are discussing among themselves. Quantitative, basically, it can be with different ways. It can be with, you can have through mails, you can send them the questionnaires through mails, you can have the information collected through phone, face to face, and online. Okay, now whether to go for quantitative or qualitative, you can actually understand with this differentiation. Okay, now when you talk about quantitative data, it is primarily related to numbers which can be measured. Okay, preferences, attitudes. Okay, now when you talk about qualitative data, it is related to your words, expressions, feelings, behaviors. Okay, quantitative data tells you how many times, how often, how much. Qualitative data tells you that what is the reason behind that how. Like for example, how many times you ate ice cream. Okay. Qualitative data will tell you why did you eat ice cream? Getting my point. Quantitative data told you how many times did you eat ice cream. Qualitative data will tell you the why is behind that, how. So this is basically the difference. So with the help of quantitative data, you can actually measure and count the things. And with qualitative data, you can observe. Okay. For qualitative data, you go for themes, categories for the analysis. And for quantitative, you go for statistical analysis generally. Okay. Now, so when we talk about types of research data, now again, whatever information we collect in research data, primarily, we can categorize as firstly observational data. Okay. Now, observational data is basically, like I said, when you are observing somebody's activity, somebody's behavior. Okay. If you are, giving them open-ended surveys, the information, it is collected through that data is through observational data. When you talk about experimental data, when you have, some intervention which has been introduced. So one variable is changing, another variable is not changing. Okay. One other next is simulation data. Basically, when you have a testing environment with you, like, when you have a real world process or probably a computer based model with you, it is generally, when you are conducting some weather conditions or economic models in that kind of research. Okay. Now, when we talk about structured approach for data collection, what exactly is that? See, all the data is collected in the same way, as in you have to have the information. You have to have, however, that what kind of respondents you need to get your information from, what kind of interventions, like for example, if I'm observing somebody's behavior, let's say for example, if they know that whether I'm observing them, they probably will have some other behavior, some improved behavior. If they don't know me, or they just don't know that whether I'm observing them or not, their behavior will be as normal, or they'll just behave the way they do it on the other days. Okay. So what is the difference between both the kind of behaviors? Right? Interventions. Okay. Also, whenever you're going for an interview, you are going to collect the data through interview, you arrange the questions in advance. This question after this question after this question after this questions. And, you know, whatever will be the options available or the answer given by the respondent, based on that, if I have to introduce any changes in my questions, I'll do it accordingly. Okay. All right. Now, then comes unstructured approach for data. So structured approach is, that means same way your data is being collected. When it comes to unstructured approach, it is not any predetermined or pre-arranged data. Like I said, when you're going for an interview data collection method, you have the set questions with you. It is exactly opposite with unstructured one. Okay. So just a question thrown. Based on the response of the questions, answers given by the respondents, the next question will be asked by the researcher. Okay. So it is completely unstructured. It is not a pre-planned one. It is like that. So whenever you go for a road trip, which is completely unplanned, unstructured approach for data collection is like that. All right. Okay. So let's have a quick break for 5 minutes and let's join it after 5 minutes. Okay. Hello, everyone. So, we are back after the break. So, let's move on. So, now we'll be talking about the different ways of collecting the data. Okay. So, first is the survey. Okay. So, basically, the survey is that method wherein we are collecting the information from either a group of people or sample of individuals. Okay. Herein, you are not basically always collect the information from general public. Your sample is not always general public. Always remember, okay? It can be, your sample size can be of company people, maybe. You must have, you have some government officials, you have your studies based on some government officials. So probably you have some, government respondents, people from government company. Okay. So it's not only the public opinion always. Okay. Also, it can be the questions should be in such that it should be directly affect the outcome of the survey. That means the flow of the question should be such that it, by the time the survey is getting ended, you and the respondents also should think in such a way that major outcome of the information we have got it. I hope you got it right. So basically, the survey, the questions in the survey should be arranged like a flow. All right. Then comes your interview. So when it comes to interview, again a method of data collection, it is primarily formalized or organized, and it is generally, it can be unstructured one, wherein your questions are not pre-decided. Okay. Structured one, where the questions are decided. Okay. Semi-structured, certain questions are decided and same for all. So structured are decided means same for all. Unstructured means as the respondents will reply, we'll ask the questions. Semi-structured means certain questions are set for all. Then we will ask as they will reply. Okay. Then focus group. Now, focus group is basically that way of collecting the information wherein you have a group of people. Needs to be the information is collected from a group of people, not many individuals. So it is like you are conducting an interview in a group, right? So you have people, let's say, who are mm, like finance head or probably dealing in finance. So they, you give them a topic to discuss, or you ask them a question. So whatever their responses on that, take a note of that. How they discuss, how they handle the consequences, how they share their opinions, they share their behavior. You take a note of that. That's focus group. Okay. Now comes data analysis. Now, when you talk about data analysis, so basically, when you talk about data analysis, is, see, the information which is collected by you has to be translated in a way which can be understood by many. Okay, which can be understood by many, because our research is not only for our purpose, it for general public to read, right? Because you'll publish it in the form of paper, so it is for others to read, so others should understand. Okay, others should get hold of it, others should make out what exactly this information means. So whatever information we have collected, analyzing that what does it mean, so that we can later interpret it and communicate it in the result section. So for quantitative and qualitative data, for example, we can do it with the help of when it comes to quantitative data, we can do it with the continuous data, like we can make categories. Ordinal data, like some sort of we can make some sort of orders, like there is age, there is, like we get the data on age, arrange it in the orders. We can we got the data on income, like for example we got in real estate. So people from 25 to 30 are more prone on buying the real estate, then 35 to 40, then 45 to 50, like that. So we arrange that age group. Similarly for income groups, like similarly, like then again for qualitative data, we got the information on the basis of perception, quotation, experiences. So we analyze that information. What exactly those perceptions means? What does the people say? Right? Okay. Now, when it comes to analysis, so basically, when I told you that, the sample respondents, so initially, when we started the webinar, as I told you, that you have to calculate your sample size. So N means population. Like for example, I want to understand the real estate inclination of people living in Paris. Um, so all those who are living in Paris is my population, right? And N is that representative to whom I will collect my information. That's the sample size. Okay. And P is that statistical significance, that how likely differences between groups are due to chance. Like there is a difference between, like if the P is smaller than 0.05, that means 5% studies there are chances. So that means this is significant. So P is significant value is less than 0.05. Okay. You will receive the PPTs, don't worry about it. When you talk about quantitative data analysis, firstly, you need to organize the data, whatever, let's say, for example, you have collected the data through interviews. You need to collect the data. You need to examine the pattern. That means, what is the repetition which is happening? Okay, what is the repetition which is happening? So, for instance, two people have said the similar thing. What is the idea which is appearing again and again? Okay, so for those initial ideas, you need to set the code to categorize that data. Okay, you can get this coding with the help of softwares also, like for instance, NVivo software. Okay, like the last step says that assign code into the data. You can do this with the help of NVivo software as well, like themes or the basis of patterns, and you can do this with the help of software as well. Okay. All right. So when you talk about qualitative data analysis, so first is your content analysis. So when you have to use it, content analysis, when you have to do is when you want to describe some common words, some phrases, some commonly used phrases discussed by respondents. Okay, like example, a market researcher could perform content analysis to find out what kind of language is used in describing therapeutic apps. So if commonly used language is being used. Thematic analysis, textual analysis, discourse analysis. Textual analysis, thematic analysis means when you identify some patterns, some themes. Okay. Textual analysis means some common structures, designs of text. Discourse analysis means how communication and language is being used. So mainly this is being used by researchers, content and thematic. Okay. Then next is on the list is coding. So when we talk about coding, like we discussed, you can do the coding also of your qualitative data. So how to do that coding? Like I told you, you can do it by software also, but we'll be discussing it here as well. Basically, when we talk about coding in qualitative data, it is when you systematically categorize your qualitative data so that you can come out with major repetitive themes. Repetitive themes means those themes which are being said by commonly, like people have said it in common. Okay, like, so firstly you have to, your first round pass at coding qualitative data, you need to organize your codes. You need to give the codes to common themes and give the codes. Okay, firstly you need to organize the data, find out the common themes, then give the codes to the themes. Okay, easy. Okay, then comes quantitative data analysis. First is, this is basically organizational way. SWOT analysis is very easy, like, organization, they find strength, their weakness, their opportunities, and then accordingly they use statistical techniques to develop their strengths. Then you talk about conjoint analysis. Conjoint analysis is basically, where the individuals, they make complicated purchasing decisions. It is also a market analysis technique for organizations. Okay, then cross tabulations means that statistical market analysis techniques which helps to establish relationship, patterns and trends within various parameters of research studies. Like, you have different variables with you, what are the relationship, what are the patterns between those variables. Okay, turf, which is not that commonly used also, it is also known as totally unduplicated reach and frequency analysis, which is used when the reach of favorable communication source is to be analyzed. So it is not that commonly used. Okay, it is used to understand how a target market potential is. Like, if you want to launch something, what is the potential in that market is. Okay, okay. Now once you are done with the data analysis, the question comes how to present it, how it should, it should be shown to the people. Okay, so basically data analysis, it helps for us to understand what exactly the data means. Data presentation means that on the basis of the data, what should be the decisions should be taken. That's what we do is with the help of visualization tools, data visualization tools, like your graphs, like your pie charts, like your other methods. Okay, charts, data visualization tools. Now, how do you present the data? Now, whatever your objectives are, and accordingly, your objectives of state study, your research study, then you collected the data according to your objectives of study. Then, according to your format of the, you change the data according to your study of the objective of the study. Like, it will be presented through pie charts, it will be presented through graphs, it will be presented through tables. Then you have to sort the data by extracting through that. Whatever is comprehensible, extract that. Whatever is not, discard that. Okay, and make the relevant charts and graphs so that you can visually display the data. Okay, okay. Now, what are the commonly used charts? Bar charts, correliogram. These are the common. This is very commonly used for mostly researchers. Scatter plot, like when we want to display some relationship between two variables. stack bars when we want to show the comparative analysis. Okay. Okay, there are some software also for which can be used for your data analysis, like GraphPad software. Okay, there is some another one, SPSS, which is very widely used. SPSS, that is statistical package for the social sciences. This is very widely used, which can be used for the statistical test like t-test, chi-square test, ANOVA, correlation, regression. Like for example, if you want to have, like for example, your study has variables, and if you want to test the relationship between the variables, you'll go for correlations. And like similarly, if you want to go for the what do you say, the means between the groups or same groups and different groups, you go for t-test or f-test. Okay, so similarly, you use, and it is the software which is widely used by all the researchers, that is SPSS. So based on your objectives, now here the many questions comes like, what exactly is which test we should use. So your objectives, your data collected, will decide that which test you should go for. Okay, like I want to understand, like whether I want to go for the association, whether I want to go for the influence of one over the another, whether I want to go for the difference between the means in between two groups, according to which I will decide my statistical test. Okay, so like this, this is first you will, this is variable way. So you will add your data, like for example, you have age, name, your gender or income, and this the results. So you, it is very simple. This software is very simple. It is like, the moment you start working on it, you start enjoying it. Like for example, you want to go for chi-square. Okay, go for this tab, go for descriptive statistics, and then press chi-squares, and then you will go for, you'll get the entire result for chi-square. It is as you will start, I'll say, playing with it, you'll start enjoying it. Okay, everything is in this software. Okay, then there is another one, Excel Stats, which is also, this is basically for the Excel data analysis, which many students who are not very comfortable with the SPSS one, they go for the Excel way of data analysis as well. Okay, then comes data interpretation. Data collection done, analysis done. What exactly this means? What conclusions should our data means? Right? This you will get to know from data interpretation. What your results are. Researchers understand, supervisor understand, but what we should understand as, okay, that we done through data interpretation. So basically, your data interpretation is generally giving the voice to your data, that how your data can be used by people in large. Okay, how they can use your data, how they can utilize your findings. So you do it by writing conclusions, summary, recommendations. So don't use very fancy language again. Don't use very flowery language again. Write the information, what is, have you identified. Okay, okay. Data conclusion means whatever information you have collected, whatever analysis are being done, what is the conclusion you have, you know mm, you want the people to understand. What is the conclusion you want them to understand? Present evidence for that. Okay, and that conclusion, always remember, that conclusion should be made on the basis of the objectives you have set, because actually you are answering your objectives and the research questions in your conclusion, that they are met. So just revolve your conclusions around that. Okay. All right. So this is the time that we are here for, that is question and answers. So all those who have the questions, they are please feel free to ask till, and I appreciate that none of you have raised the question in between the webinar. So, please feel free to write your questions now. We are open for the question and answers. Is it important? Okay, okay. One by one, we have to run a pilot on all sample. That no, no, no. Pilot is not supposed to run on all the sample part. Pilot is supposed to be on the smaller number. We do pilot so that we avoid reaching out to all. So that just in case we have to, redo the questions, or there is some mistakes in our questionnaire, so that we avoid reaching out to many people. Okay. Okay. Is it important to mail the person from which a researcher adapt? No, 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 no. You need not to. You just need to cite the, or you need to mention that the questionnaire has been adapted from such and such study. Do we have to take a suggestion guide? No, if Revati, if you're comfortable with statistics, no, you need not to. Mahi, surely we will. Okay. Parth, I have answered your question. Okay. Data analysis for different types of research. Sure, Dr. Suman. Sure, sure. Do you have no, Revati? No. Can you please give examples to easily and okay, fine. Like for example, Meena, like I said, my pie chart says there is, my pie chart. Like for example, you all understand pie charts, right? There is a circle which has different colors in it: red, blue, green. Okay, so my question on which I collected the data is that which flavor of ice cream is, best liked by the kids. So there are options like butterscotch or strawberry or vanilla. I'm telling you in very easy language. So this I means that 40% kids that they said that they like vanilla. Okay, or like let's say 50% kids that said that vanilla. So you will not say that, you will say that 50% kids like vanilla. Now what does that 50% kids means 50% means that vanilla is the most preferred flavor of ice cream. This is the way you interpret. Okay, Rahul, for deciding the sample size, you should know your population. Okay, and there are formulas on which you can calculate your sample size. Okay, during the data collection, what is the recommended duration for the observation method? Did Helen? It depends upon what information you are collecting. Since it is qualitative information, I also collected my PhD in information for by observation. So it depends upon what information. There are instances where you need to conduct the observation couple of times. So it is not like that, for 1 hour you have to conduct the observation. There is no specific duration. Ashwini, you can go for generally you go for 10%. Mr. Sumit, we discussed data collection instruments in this. Like interview, you have questionnaire, you have faced focus groups, you have surveys. My question in my research is I want to find out the relationship between two variables, which method I should use. For what, Kunal? For what? Generally, the research is about identifying the relationship between two variables only. For what method you want to understand? Is it a descriptive, like qualitative research or quantitative? You can go for questionnaire if it's a quantitative research. What to do if respondent doesn't want to disclose your identity? Yes, generally, Praveen, what happened in questionnaire, if you are conducting questionnaire through and you are emailing them, you if generally respondent's name does not affect your research results. It doesn't matter. If the data does demands their gender, it's okay. I am sure their name does not matter. In designing the question, if the researcher adopt the tool, researcher make few changes and add few in designing the question, if the researcher adapt the tool, okay, you're saying you adapted someone else's questionnaire, and the researcher make few changes and add few item in the. No, you can't do that, Ravish. You can't do that. Actually, you have to adapt it. When you say adapted, you can't make the changes. Actually, you can adapt a subset of it. You can adapt a new dimension to it. Okay. Pilot study, Manish, is like before reaching out to our entire sample, we are testing our tool, let's say questionnaire, and we are giving out to a few people that whether they understand our questionnaire, whether our questionnaire does not have any grammatical error, or it produces the results which we are intended to find out, the concept which you are looking for. That's what it's like. Pilot run. What if sample we have chosen give us wrong information? That means your sample size is either small or large. You have to recheck. See, generally for qualitative study, tip I can give you, for qualitative study, your general sample size remains small. So say for example, if you're conducting interviews in qualitative study, you can go for 12 to 15 number of sample size. For quantitative study, the sample size gets large. Okay. Ravish, what I said is that you can't change or add in somebody's already existing tool of data collection. Like if you are adapting my questionnaire, so you can't take my questionnaire and add some questions of yours into my questionnaire and use it in your study. Are you getting my point? Okay. That's what I said, Kunal. So you can go for questionnaire. You can go for close-ended questionnaire. Open-ended questionnaire wherein you have given the respondent the option to elaborate their responses. Close-ended where there are options given to them to choose as their responses. Okay. Do we have any further question? Okay, then how a researcher can make the statements according to his or her objectives? See, that's what I said, Ravish. I think you haven't joined by that time. You have you review the literature accordingly, the studies which, let's say, reflect the same grounds like your study. Yes, Revati. You go for you go for the study which are similar like yours in simple language. Shruti, we do the pilot study same like we are going for actual data collection. Let's say, for example, Shruti, in simple language, let's say we have guests coming in, okay? 50 guests coming in. We are cooking for 50 people. I'm taking a very layman example. We give a little bit of food to taste to somebody. Tell me whether the spices and the salt is okay or not. That's pilot testing. Okay. And those questions are we are adopting, they have different population and we test on Indian population. See, that's what I'm saying, Parth. You have to see the variables, like, the work, they see, you can't say that sample character, you have to see the sample character. See, you can't exactly match. What do you have to focus on? The research problem, the research questions. See, if the sample characteristics is the same, if sample environment, population size, everything is same, then it will be plagiarism. Then your studies are identical. No, you have to focus on the research problem, research questions. Whether you are on the same, you are trying to find out the similar aspects or not. Okay. How to create questionnaire for sociology subject topic on Bola, we discussed. You have to do literature review, you have to set your objectives. In my case, no researchers had done before. If not in India, find out outside. If not, then design your own questionnaire. Uh, it's difficult to revisit the responses. Download them. If it's possible, Revati, download them. Uh, Ravish, you can reach me out on the number we have shared on Research Graduate. We can discuss at length, no problem about it. What I'm trying to tell you is, see, my students also have done it in the past. One of my PhD students did it. See, what you have to do is that we don't go for exactly same study. Understand, Ravish? We don't go for exactly same study. Okay, we go for the characteristics. Like, for example, we go for the research questions, research, the problems, the objectives. Obviously, they, if they are conducting study there, if we are conducting study in with some other population, the results will vary. Obviously will vary. But we we can have the questionnaire same, because our research problem background is similar. I hope you understand. Okay, we are primarily concerned about the problem statements, the questions we are done. Okay, Mr. Vijay, we have discussed the data types. Like, you have qualitative data, you have quantitative data. We have discussed, and I have given you in my slides the clear distinction between both. Shruti, when we want to do the pilot study, for that you need to have a clear reason that why you want to go for the pilot study, firstly. Then, for how long you want to do the pilot study. Like, for example, you just want to distribute the survey and then you want to collect the information out. For that, you need to understand that how many people you want to do the pilot study on. Let's say you want to go for 10 people. Distribute the survey and get the results. Okay? All right? So, pilot study is basically to be done that it is to avoid any future problems if we distribute our questionnaire to people at large. Bhavna, turf analysis is basically so I'm so sorry. Okay. Turf analysis is that if any company is taking any marketing action, any new changes in the products, any new changes in the features of the product, what will be, let's say, for example, Cadbury. Okay. The taste of the Cadbury chocolate is changed and new is launched. Whether the consumer will buy a new one or not, the purchase, what will be the influence on the purchase decision? Okay. That's that. Okay. Cost of SPSS software, I really don't know. We will do one. Okay. All right. Turf analysis is clear. We will do one on SPSS. Done. Regression analysis. Okay. See, regression analysis tells you the relationship between two or more variables. What kind of relationship the two or more variables has in between, like dependent or independent. Okay, so that is regression analysis when it comes. Okay. Yeah, sure. Chi-square. See, firstly, you need to understand what is chi-square test. Who is this? I'm just having just allow me a minute. I'll just have water. Just a Okay. So chi-square is actually used. See, who said Shri Kumari? Chi-square is used only on large data set on beta. When you have large data set to compare the results. Okay. On SPSS, chi-square is very easy. Ah, Avyukta, SPSS is better or Excel? Masala idli is better or plain idli is better is upon taste, is upon comfortable. See, once you get hold of SPSS, SPSS is better. Parth has answered. Okay. SPSS. See, why you want to go back into times, people are why you want to get it done for professionals. Like if you really wants to get it done, it's okay, but try to get it done from yourself. A question which is not linked with today's one, which is right way of review of literature, the right methods, which is right from abstract conclusion. See, in my opinion, I'll tell you my opinion. Every researcher has their own acumen. The moment you will start reading line by line, okay, abstract introduction. I'm not saying that whosoever have told you from abstract introduction, they are wrong. No, I'm not telling them they are wrong. What I'm telling you is that the moment you'll start doing that, you will do it with one paper, two paper. By the end of third paper, you will sleep. Trust me, you will sleep. Okay. So what I do is, okay, read the abstract. That is important. Abstract actually tells you the major gist of the paper, what exactly the paper is all about, right? That potential findings, the research methodology followed. Then go to the last section of introduction. The last section of introduction tells you the purpose of the paper. Okay. Then straight come to methodology. Because In that abstract and the last section, you've got the idea. What is the paper about? Straight come to methodology. In methodology, you will get objectives, research question, problem statement. Understand that first because that still catch will hold you of your interest. Okay, now go back to literature. Now in literature, there is no point of reading each and every line. Just highlight major definitions. One or two definitions, okay. With the objectives you have read, you will get what are the variables of this paper. You will get it into literature. Thorough, done, sorted. Come to the data analysis. This is the way I do. I just don't go for line by line. Doesn't make sense because by the time you go by the end of the paper, you are exhausted, mentally exhausted. Okay, so it's very important to understand the methodology part, the variable part, all these sections. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Vasant, we can say that people are doing it. Yeah. Ravi Shai said that read the abstract first, then last section of introduction, then come to methodology of the paper. Once you are done with the objectives and the research questions, then go to the major definitions of the literature. In that, you will have a look on the variables. Okay, then come to analysis part. Sorry. So, if you get stuck with literature review of that paper in initial stages, you'll not be able to understand the methodology because by that time you'll be exhausted. Okay, this is the way you can follow. So first grab the methodology of the paper by having a look on the abstract and the last portion of the introduction because they will make you clear about the objectives and question research question. ANOVA Victor, we apply for analyzing the variance. If there is any variation in the you said it is a qualitative data. It is an observational study. So you yourself said ANOVA and F test will go for it. So an ANOVA and F test, ANOVA is it is for your analyzing the variance between the variables. How much variance is there? You can go for descriptive statistics and then you can go for run an ANOVA test. Then you have to, it is depends upon your objectives. What exactly you want to find out. Dr. Vasan, basically that's why I told Victor also that depends upon what kind of objectives you have. Completely. Whether you want to find out the mean, whether you want to find out the compare the means, whether you find out the relationship, you find out the variance, that's two-way ANOVA, one-way ANOVA, that all depends upon your objectives. I have constructed a research battery on psychological disorder. Very good, Rafia. And I want to know about the rules to making norms, especially in how to do scoring. If you want to do the Likert scale, and you want try applying Likert scale if it can 5 pointer or 7 pointer scale. Apply that either of one of them, whether they are associated or not. So, in order to find out the association, we just said that Chi-square, or you can go for just yeah. So for as I told you, for association of variables, you can go for chi-square if your data set is large. How much line researcher writes in his chapter 2? You should ask how many pages. Literature review, yeah, we have conducted in past, we will conduct it. Chi-square can be done, yeah. Are there any further more questions, guys? So for one paper, depends upon if your paper is quantitative, then literature review is not that elaborated. After collection rate, I have to categorize the students on no prevalence and prevalence category, but on which basis there in particular formula. 5 point go for 5.1. It is easy to analyze, Rafia. Yeah. It is easy to analyze. For quantitative papers, LR is smaller. Ravish. Ravi, I think 5 point is very common, so you can go for it. I hope we've answered. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Akanksha, you joined in time. You were there. Okay, I'll tell you about non-parametric tests. See, basically, non-parametric tests are those as those tests which does not rely on any particular kind of assumptions. You know, they don't have any assumption on any specific distribution. So these are non-parametric tests. Especially, if the data is normally distributed like this. Okay, like when you talk about pair t test, you say that it is parametric. So in non-parametric test, there are no assumptions. In parametric test, you assume. That's the major difference. Sorry. Sorry, my throat is quite bad today. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. So you hope understand that normal distribution of the data. It's on that. Yeah. So non-parametric tests, they measure the central tendency and the median value. It's for Akanksha only. Others don't get confused. Okay. They go for the central tendency and the median value. Yeah. All right, guys. If you have any more questions, please let me know. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, hope to see you in the next series of webinar on next to next Saturday. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much.